Hello and welcome to the 13th installment of migrating of all of the expansion cards in Terraforming Mars. This is the second episode on Colonies. As always, if you want insight into the grading system, check out the description, or click on the link in the top right hand corner to get to the first video, where I explain it all. If you want to know how I go about ranking the expansion cards compared to the base game cards, check out the first video of rating expansion cards, which is also linked in the description. But let's get started. Colonies is an expansion that is notorious for buffing space and science, and Corona Extractor is the first card that fits that theme. It is really similar to Quantum, as it also requires 4 science tags and grants 4 power prot. However, it differs in its price, tax, and the fact that it doesn't provide a discount. The lower price plus the space tag make it much more playable, and the value you get is insane. A power prot normally is worth 7 MC. So this card grants 28 MC worth in value for 13 MC total. Due to the expansion's focus on space, Titanium Prot is really valuable in Colonies, so players want to develop it. Corona Extractor benefits heavily, as this often makes it feel much more playable than Quantum. But in situations where it almost feels too late to play Quantum or Mass, so when the temperature is already quite high and you play them more for the discount, it's certainly too late for Corona Extractor, as it offers nothing other than power prot. In total, this card is great in a science threat, can help secure Energizer, and lastly, it can easily provide you the power to trade. However, you'd prefer to get your power prot as early as possible, and Corona Extractor has that nasty requirement. So all in all, I think it's low B tier. Another card that can help you trade is Cryo-Sleep. This card costs 10 plus 3 MC. Factor out the point for 5 MC, and then this card costs 8 MC for a science tag and the ability to always pay 1 resource less to trade. You'd be inclined to view this as 1 power prot, but in some aspects it's at the same time better and worse than that. It's worse than 1 power prot, as you can only quote unquote use the power prot Cryo-Sleep provides to trade. If you play a real power prot card, you can also use that production to play power hungry cards or increase the heat. Of course, if you're already at 3 power prot when you play Cryo-Sleep, you can ignore this, as it permanently frees up 1 power prot that you can now use however you want. At the same time, Cryo-Sleep could also provide MC or Titanium. It's not great to trade with MC, and the effect of this card on MC trading is so small that we can really ignore it. Trading with Titanium usually is much worse than trading with power prot. The reason being that a Titanium prot costs 3 MC more than a power prot. Obviously, trading with Titanium is still worse than trading with power once you've played Cryo-Sleep, but now you've probably reached a point where trading with Titanium is A, possible at all, and B, better than not trading. I think this is an underappreciated factor of the card. Lastly, we can also compare this card to Rim Freighters, which I generally like more, as they are much cheaper to get down. But how good does this make Cryo-Sleep? I think it's also a B tier card, maybe a bit above Corona Extractor. Now let's talk about a much more simple card, Earth Elevator. For the record price of 43 plus 3 MC, you get 3 Titanium prot and 4 points. Summed up, this card provides 50 MC worth of value, since a point is worth 5 MC and a Titanium prot is worth 10 MC. 50 MC worth of value for 46 MC total? What's not to like? That's a 4 MC built-in discount. Well, the problem is that the 2 things of real value on this card, the Titanium prot and the points, want to be played at vastly different times in the game. Titanium prot as early as possible, points as late as possible. This makes this card really awkward to play. We can also compare it to IO mining. It has a similar cost, similar prot, and also provides points. In a vacuum, Earth Elevator is obviously better than IO. But you never play IO with the expectation to play it to then never follow it up with more Jovians. You play IO as early as possible to get as much prot out of it, with the expectation that you play more Jovians to score as many points as possible later. And then IO can massively outscore Earth Elevator. Not only with its own scoring, but also with the tech it provides for other multipliers. On top of that, it's a bit cheaper, and while it theoretically provides a bit less prot, the prot you get is more flexible and I therefore prefer it. I think Earth Elevator is only really great in cases where you start off with lots of instant Titanium, maybe as Phobolog, or if you have ASA as a prelude. It massively loses in value the longer the game goes on, and I will therefore put it in D tier. With Ecology Research, we have to talk about a super weird and difficult to rate card in my opinion. The potential of this one is almost limitless. It can be an insane combo card. It's the only card in the game with 4 tags, and those can instantly swing Diversifier or Ecologist in your favor. They can also grant 4 extra prot for Eridor. They can enable cards like NRA or Advanced Ecosystems, and they can combo with stuff like Masio, Decomposers or Ecozone. In addition, you get microbe and animal resources, which can add up to 2 more points. And lastly, in terms of combo potential, you get plant prot depending on how many colonies you got. That usually ranges from 1 to 4 prot. The range of possible outcomes with Ecology Research is huge. From maybe 1 or 2 plant prot and 1 VP, to 4 or 5 plant prots, 5 points, card draw and instant plants from all of the combo pieces this can hit. With a card like this that can swing wildly between game winning and 2 useless, I feel hard pressed to accurately nail down its placement. I think the lower end of B tier once again is the right spot. And lastly, we have to speak about another floater card, Floater Leasing. This card honestly is quite awful most of the time. There are 3 main problems with it. First of all, it takes time to accumulate a good enough amount of floaters such that this card can provide a reasonable upside. If you only have 3 floaters, it grants 1 MC prot for 6 MC, while MC prot normally is worth 4.5 MC. If you want at least 2 prot out of it, you already need 6 floaters. To accumulate such an amount takes quite a long time if you're not relying on really bad cards like Extractor balloons or Stratopolars. And by the time you can get floater leasing down for a good payoff, MC prot is not worth that much anymore. The second problem is that a lot of floater cards want you to consume their floaters for an effect. So you're torn between getting a reasonable payoff of floater leasing and using your floater cards to their fullest effect. And lastly, and I alluded to this already, a lot of Venus Next floaters are shit. Yes, the Colonies floaters are better, but there are so incredibly few of them, and 4 out of 6 want you to consume their floaters anyways. So I have to rank floater leasing in low D tier. There are certain games where it can grant you a respectable amount of prot in the mid game, or swing banker late, especially if you go for a heavy Jovian Lantern strategy, so that in my opinion is enough for it not to land in F tier. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments whether you agree with my ratings, or if not, how you would have rated these cards differently. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. And lastly, please check out my Twitch and my Twitter. See you in the next video.